Before we get into the story, I just wanted to apologize for such a late upload. I haven't really been feeling the best lately, and I've just needed a few days to actually recover. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the story. Number 1. Growing up, I lived in the middle of the woods. No neighbors for about a mile on each side, and we owned 60 acres of forest, then a swamp after that. So basically, I lived in the middle of nowhere. One summer, when I was about 14, I was out in the middle of the woods playing with my dog. I'm an only child and both of my parents were out of town at that point. When I kept feeling like somebody was hitting my elbow or something, I'd go throw Max's ball, and the bump would make me throw it almost straight up. Assuming it was just me hitting a tree or something, I ignored it. After the 4th or 5th time this happened though, I thought, well, this sucks. I'll just go home. Walking back, I felt uneasy. But I knew I was just freaking myself out because we were alone. About an hour later, Max and I are at the house, on the couch, when the garage door opens and he starts barking. I hop up to go let in my mom and dad, even though they were really home early. I peered through the peephole and I saw the door was still shut and no one was in the garage. Quieting Max down, I opened the door slowly and called out to my dad. Nothing. No response at all. So I go out to check the door, and it's still locked. Okay, sure. Weird, but oh well. Max heard it too, so at least I know I'm not crazy. So about 20 minutes later, I hear the door open again. And this time Max starts growling like crazy. I quiet him down again, and just assume it's maybe just the wind or something making some noise. Though by the point, my heart is racing. I hear footsteps coming up the stairs, and I think, oh geez, Dad really is home this time. So I hop up and run to the door. It starts to jiggle, so I run faster to let him in. I peep through the hole, and even though my hand is loosely around the jiggling handle, there's no one on the other side. Terrified, I go hide on the couch with the lights on. Max is still growling. About an hour after that, I start to feel a little better, even though I'm still terrified. Then I hear the door handle jingling again. This time it was Max jingling it. He needed to go outside, and the only way outside is through the garage. So, fantastic, I guess. I literally sprint with him to the kennel. As I'm standing there, I decided to ask this thing questions to make myself feel better, because I knew it wouldn't answer me. Thinking about what to ask it, my eyes are drawn to this huge heavy oak door on the kennel. It was always open. It was too heavy for me to move easily. I said, "Okay, ghost, if you're real, you'll shut the heavy door." Nothing. A minute goes by. Nothing. Max is still sniffing around. I turn around and yell at him to hurry up, and then from behind me I hear a click. I whipped around and I saw the giant door swung shut and latched. Okay, clearly that was just the wind, right? But it wasn't windy. It was the wind, for sure. It had to be. So I proceed. "Okay, ghost, that was the wind. If you're really real, you'll open the massive door back up." Nothing happened. So I would go relax for a bit, then I squat down with my head on my knees, reminiscing about how lame I just was, and being scared to hear a click or a crack. The door was now wide open. Max was done, so we booked it back into the house, locking every single door in the house. For the next 4 hours I would hear footsteps on the stairs, and the door handle jingling every few minutes, until finally around 11 p.m., my dad walks in and yells at me for wasting the electricity. I never told him or my mom about it, until about 4 months later, when my dad came in from hunting after dark. He looked shaken, and I asked what was wrong. He said he aimed at 2 deer, but missed both completely because it felt as if somebody was hitting his elbow and making him shoot away from the deer. That was when I told him everything. He believes me now. but thankfully nothing else has happened since. Number 2. I have a terrifying story about a Ouija board. I got a call from my cousin who said that his brother, and his dad, and his best friend were using a Ouija board in their basement. Prior to starting, they took a large porcelain doll out of the room because it was creepy and placed it in an adjacent room, face down, on a pile of towels. My cousin took a short break because the board was just spouting nonsense and he had to go use the bathroom. His dad and brother and friend started asking the Ouija board certain different questions without him. One of the questions was, who was in the other room? It just spouted random numbers, and when my cousin came back into the room, his brother said that it wasn't working and that they were going to put it away, and showed him the answer to the last question he asked. And he said, "Dude, that's my social security number." Then they started talking to whatever, started spewing answers out. It told my cousin he was going to die in the Air Force. At this point, they tell the entity they are communicating with to prove itself. It then spelled out the word doll, and they were like, what the fuck? They opened the door to check on the porcelain doll they had laid in the other room. And when they opened the door, the doll was standing up right in front of the door, staring right at them. Everyone freaked out and ran out of the house. His best friend burned the Ouija board, and I think he temporarily went nuts for a few months. My cousin, for some reason, then joined the Air Force and is on base in Europe now. I hope I hear from him soon. Number 3. Now I know most people, whether you believe in spirits or not, has seen some type of shadow man. He comes as a tall man, wearing a top hat and a trench coat. Or at least that's how he comes to me. When I see the shadow man, I start to feel uneasy and nervous if he can hurt me or not. Now I have many shadow man stories to share, but this will be my first. One night, my mother had asked me if I could do the dishes, so I said yes. I had already gotten done washing a few dishes when I started to grow uneasy and I felt goosebumps all over my body. I can't fully explain to you what happened next, other than I had an experience, my first out-of-body experience, if I could say. I could see myself standing over the sink, still washing the dishes, but this time I was able to see the shadow man standing right behind me. He was so much taller than I was, and I watched him as he slowly started walking closer to me. I just stood there in disbelief watching the shadow man start reaching his hand out to grab me. The moment my physical body actually felt his hand on my shoulder, I was jerked back into my body. I turned around to see if he was still standing there, only to see that I was alone. And just like that, he disappeared, without a trace. I just thought that it was some type of hallucination. But I have a lot more that are just like this. Number 4. Okay, now everyone knows that 2020 has probably been one of the worst years for all of us. It was the year to grow love for one of another and to be grateful for the people that you have. I lost my mom September 4th of 2020. It was the worst day of my life. So that explains the break I took. After her passing, all the ghostly encounters have halted, possibly due to my grief. Lately, as a few days ago, things have started to slowly begin again. Last night, my boyfriend and I were in the bedroom when we started hearing the voices. Now, I thought it was just my dad going to the bathroom, but there was nobody there. He was gone for the night. And my boyfriend looked outside, and still there was nothing. So we just played it off and thought it was just a coincidence. Now yesterday, when I was cooking lunch, the door to our room creaked open, which is kind of normal, so I didn't really think anything of it, until the dog started growling at the door. Shortly after, the door started creaking again, except this time, it was all the way open. I turned my head to see how it opened, when I saw a dark shadow standing sideways in front of the door before vanishing. Since our paranormal activity has started up once again, I will keep you all updated. It's been a couple days now, and I haven't seen him since. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Sorry for such a late upload. I've been sick, and I've been trying to get back on this as hard as I can. It was to the point that basically when I was trying to even record one single story, I would start coughing and my throat would just be on fire. So, hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the links in the description. Also, stay safe, stay scary, and I'll see you in the next one.